To understand exactly what you need, Copilot needs to learn. And one of the best ways to learn is by looking at an example, right? Well, the same holds true for Copilot. Let's give that a try. I'm going to keep on using my next demo file here. And let's say we're implementing the factory pattern. We want to create products through it. So we could ask something like define a factory method that takes a product type and returns an instance of the corresponding class or corresponding product class. And well, this kinda does what we asked, right? We get a method that accepts something of type product type, and then there's a switch on that product type, so that depending on the inputted product type, the instance of the correct class can be created. But the classes are named class 1, class 2, class 3. The product types are 1, 2, 3. The product type class is named product type, and the product itself is something that implements iProduct. So this is not really useful. This is not something you would write in real life. But can you blame Copilot? We haven't provided enough context about, for example, the types of the products we want. So let's give it an example. Let's say that if we call create product by passing through product type dot furniture, for example, we want to get back a new furniture object. This is already a bit more useful. The types of the objects that are now returned are all related to furniture. So Copilot figured that out from the example we gave it. So that's one way providing examples can lead to better results, results that are more in line with what you expect. Let's try another example in which we want to transform the inputted data. Now, I'm not going to start from scratch with this one. I'm already going to provide a bit of input, say a list of products, for example. So let me define a product class with a name and a number of parts. So each product consists of a number of parts. And then let's store a list of product. I'll name it data. And it's a new list. Let's use the new syntax here. So, a ball consisting of one part. By the way, as you can see while I'm typing, Copilot is already suggesting things that may fit in this list. Let's say we've got a bike that consists of 20 parts. And lastly, a car that consists of a bit more than 30, let's say 120 parts. There we go. There's our data, a list of products. Now let's ask it to run through a list and transform the data. It gives me what it can, but, well, it probably didn't get enough info from us. It seems to try and run through a list named date. That's definitely coming from us, because I made a typo here. It's actually data. But well, at least thanks to that typo, you could see that Copilot effectively gets its input from what I previously typed. But anyway, it seems to try and run through the list of data and simply write out the name and the parts. That is indeed something that you could do with that list, but I actually want to transform the data, and that is not what is happening here. The reason for that is that we haven't been precise enough. What we ask Copilot to do is very generic, but we can make it more precise by providing an example. Let's say example input 120, 120, example output 141 is what I'm going to type. That means that what I'm actually trying to do here is count all the parts and return the sum of that. So let's see if Copilot can figure that out. And there we go. It suggests a method getTotalParts that sums up all the parts. So not only is the method named in a way that fits the content, the method body itself was also figured out from the examples I gave it. Alright, one more. Let's get rid of that previous code here. I don't want this to interfere with what's coming next. Let's say we want to split up a list of comma-separated values. the inputted list is a string, a CSV string, let's say, and we want to split that up in dictionaries where each dictionary represents a row with keys based on the header row. That's a pretty common thing to do when working with CSV files. I could start by asking something like, write a function that accepts a string and returns a list of dictionaries. And I seem to be getting a few different suggestions here. Some are better than others. For example, if we look at this one, we see that it's trying to split the data on new lines, after which it's trying to get the headers from splitting on a comma. The other one is trying to split the input on the comma directly, and if I'm not mistaken, this one tries to split on comma first as well, but afterwards tries to split on colon. So what you can gather from this is that we again didn't provide enough info. There's different ways to interpret what we asked, and we weren't specific enough on how things should be split up. But we can be more precise by providing an example. Let's say, example, the input is a CSV string. Each dictionary represents a row with keys based on the header row. Let me fix my typo here. And there we go. The method name is better, and what we get as method body is also more in line with what we provided in the example. So the output is much more precise because we've been more precise with the input. That being said, what I provided as an example isn't really an example anymore, right? You could also name this simply being specific. For example, I can rewrite this as such. Write a function that accepts a CSV string and returns a list of dictionaries. Each dictionary represents a row, keys based on the header row. And let's be even more specific, and let's say we want the method to be named parse CSV to dictionary. The first thing you see here is that Copilot suggests to provide an example. So that's pretty cool, right? We've got this AI assistant that figures out from my prompt what I want to do, then suggests an example, which when I accept it, which I just did, serves as part of the next prompt. And then we eventually end up with this parse CSV to dictionary method suggestion. And that is actually pretty much in line with what we asked. So this works pretty well. Be specific about what you want and provide examples, with or without the help of Copilot. In the beginning, when I started using AI and Copilot, I didn't do that. I wasn't really specific, mainly because I thought, well, I don't want to be too specific because I don't think Copilot would be able to figure it out when I'm too specific. So I would ask generic things and then adjust the code myself. And well, I was wrong. That is not the best way to use AI. It still amazes me with what it can come up with, so I simply stopped underestimating it. So, as last example in this clip, let's rewrite this again without underestimating Copilot. So I'm going to be even more specific, and I'm going to ask it for an extension method this time. So I still want a function that accepts a CSV string and returns a list of dictionaries. I'm now also going to say that each dictionary should represent a row with keys based on the header row. I'm going to state that the method itself must be named to dictionary, and it must extend the string class. And there we go. The suggestion we get effectively matches the very precise prompt we fed Copilot. I was more specific and I got better results. On to the next best practice. Step by step goes a long way